Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And today we're going to take a look at the Tangle Zenjellies from Jenna Black. So this is a neat one. I call these, I keep going back and forth between some different ideas of a term. Freestanding, free, maybe freeform. They're kind of inclusive of themselves, and by that I mean that you can do one on a pattern. You can do a whole bunch. It's not something that fills in a pattern, or they're kind of standalone, and they're neat. So this one starts off with an orb. So wherever you want your center of this to be, draw an orb, whatever size, of course. Then, now this is a great opportunity. I was just using the 01. I'm going to switch to my Micron 10, and I'm going to move my light because I'm seeing this nice shadow here. Okay, and pick a place to start. I'm going to put the pen on the orb, so that way we're going to just draw a little curved line, and it's still not really center. But as you know, with Zentangle, it doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't. So we're going to do 4 curved lines like so. And sometimes it's just nice if you have this, a bigger nib, and then you don't have to, because what I would do alternately, and this is what you would save yourself doing, is, I would go over multiple times, or I would draw an aura and then fill in with the little pen, and, that's, this just saves a lot of time. All right, then from here, you're just going to draw a shape around this, leaving some space, and just however you want. Okay, then another shape separated by whatever distance you want. Don't you love these kind? Oops, and we'll have it meet up like so. Then we're going to fill in lines. Actually, I'm just going to start right here because that kind of dipped down weird. And so I'm just going to put a bunch of straight lines. And we're going to fill that entire section. And before I mention something else, because, so we're kind of going around. And as you can see down here at this side here is going to be narrower because we're making this corner. And what it always reminds me of doing something like this is, and if you've ever marched, in a parade, we'll say, marching band or otherwise, where you had to keep straight lines, then you know what happens when you have to go around a corner. And inevitably, I know in ours is like, you get the well, I guess it wouldn't matter. It depends on how many corners you were going to take, because it's like you would inevitably have the shortest little person on the outside, and they would have to, almost be running, because the other thing, like with a marching band, is you're taking, you want to have the same, you're putting, the same foot down, you're all doing the same thing at the same time. So to have one person taking more steps than another person is just not. That's just not how it works. So I just remember we would always, crack up, because it would always end up to be that maybe the tallest person was, in the center, or the narrow side where they had to take little baby steps. And so it's just funny. But as you can see, you have to think about that as you're doing something like this, because for a while we can kind of keep them straight, but when you get towards taking a curve, then all of a sudden, maybe you keep the outside at the same distance, and then the inside is, inside meaning here, goes a little bit narrow. And you just adjust ever so often as you go. And, and actually, that's kind of a fun thing as we think about the fact that Zentangle was created to teach meditation through art. And so this is one of those things where you can kind of have have fun and lose yourself in the focus of every line that you're drawing. Now, I'm drawing them rather quickly. I'm drawing them lightly, which is nice because it gives a little bit different look. It's a little thinner. Let me just demonstrate. So on the back, so if I'm just like tickling the paper. And the Zentangle tiles are similar to like a watercolor, but they're pressed so they might not be as bumpy or as toothy as regular watercolor paper, but it does have a texture. And so I'm kind of just bouncing it along top of that versus putting the pen down and drawing, straight, very deliberate lines. It just, like I said, it gives another look to it. And then also, this is the other reason that I really kind of like it is then if the lines, they're naturally a little wiggly. So if something is a little out of place, it's kind of disguised a little bit, so you don't have to worry as much. And then I'm also making them rather close together, and so same thing. You don't really notice if one thing seems to be too close or too far away, like that one. It's all okay. And what I notice myself is I end up, as I'm drawing these lines like this, as like, okay, these are getting to look a little not straight up and down, from this side to this side. So just adjust as you go and stay focused on that line, and it will all be good. Now, one thing I wanted to mention as I finish this up is to make sure to take a look in the description section for, so my step out will be there, but I always put in, as long as it's available, something from, where I found the tangle, something that will show the artist that created it, show their step out. And usually they put in some extra samples of the tangle and how they've used it and things like that. So I highly recommend it because this has a lot of opportunity for decoration, as I like to call it, afterwards. And I have one sample, but for instance, I saw where maybe the lines were more separate, and then as like the tangle bead line had just some little filled in little dots or orbs, just small, here and there, like on the strands. Here's another sample, and this is it. And then it's just up to you to how you might want to decorate it. This one, I actually did this with the new gray pens. If you didn't know, whoops, that's a black. Micron, Sakura Pigma came out with some new grays. So we have light and dark grays, and they're very nice. In fact, if you are so inclined to purchase, I would love if you want to. If you want to, maybe for your convenience, it also helps to support my efforts. In my website, or on my website, tangleaddicts.com, and the link is below in the description, I have a link to Dick Blick, and they have, this is a nice set of 8 pens, and it comes in the 01, 05, 10, and a brush tip in each of the dark gray and the light gray in one package. And they might have been on sale, so I don't want to say how much they were. But I would be honored if you click that link. And if I think of it, I'll put it in the description section later on. I need to probably put that in there regular. But anyway, so I used the light gray because I grabbed it by mistake, which was a nice mistake. And I did an aura around the center, which is something you could do. And then I put orbs in it, and I did it around the outside also. And then, so that's the dark gray. And then the lines I did with the light gray. So that way you can see how cool they look. And then I did add a very tiny bit of graphite around the center. But the decorating part is completely up to you. Lots of ideas, like I mentioned, in the Tangle Patterns link that's in the description section. So, neat Tangle. Lots of fun to be had. So, if you enjoyed the video, would love to have a like. Feel free to share it. And if you've not subscribed to the channel yet, I would be ever so honored if you would consider being a subscriber to the channel. That is, of course, free. I mentioned the links in the description section below. So if you want to connect with me, want to take some online classes, would love to have you join in on that fun. And yeah, with that, thanks so much for watching, and I wish you happy tangling.